Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful, productive, and hopefully prosperous weekend. It is Monday. I know a lot of us are on the watch right now for Karen Reed. We're going to be talking about that for a brief little bit because, you know, we are right now currently on Karen Reed verdict watch. It's been a few days since they have let the jury go out for deliberation, and it's been a while now. So we're going to be talking about that just a little bit, a tiny bit, for real. But we are mainly here to bring awareness over another case, a new case that you guys have been asking me to cover for the past couple days. And it's been a busy weekend for me, so I wasn't able to come on with you guys and talk about this particular case. But we're here to talk about that case today as well. And so I'm asking you guys for a little bit of help, just a tiny bit of help. Simple, very easy. All I ask for you guys to do is hit that like button down below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on these other platforms like Facebook, make sure you hit that reaction button, please and thank you. All right? That'd be greatly appreciated. All right? Of course, if you are watching on those other platforms, please be sure to hit that follow button on those platforms, right? Facebook, X/Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of those, all right? Please go and share some love by hitting that follow button, hitting whatever it is that you need to hit, okay? Let's go into the 4th of July weekend in the most best way and the most positive way that we can. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, please consider being friendly by hitting that join button down below, crushing that subscribe button first. And of course, if you want to support this channel, become a member of the family, please hit that join button down below, please and thank you. That would be amazing if you're watching on YouTube, all right? If you are watching on other platforms, or if you want to support the channel even further, please join my Patreon. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show is going across the bottom of the screen right now as we speak. That would be amazing. Okay, guys? Let us get into this conversation. Okay, guys? Now, the thing is first off, I just want you guys to know that we are still in verdict watch for a Karen Reed. Now, this has been a very big trial. Extremely polarizing. I'm just trying to pull up the photo really quick. Extremely polarizing. Why has it been polarizing? You know what? I'd like to know. No, I'm just kidding. The real reason is because there's been a lot of people speculating that there has been some sort of corruption within the Canton PD. Of course, there's the other side that believes that Karen Reed really did this thing, ran over, hit her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her car, backed into him, ran over him, ran back to his home, and I guess is acting like she had no clue that this whole thing even happened, right? There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of toss-ups, okay? It's been kind of crazy. I'm going to be honest. The reaction has been absolutely crazy. And I also want to say that I don't think it's been good, because even if you sit on the fence, I'm going to say it, I don't care. Even if you sit on the fence and just give the facts and just put out the information, everybody and their mama is getting angry, basically saying, hey, you need to be on one side or the other. You can't just be sitting on the fence. Well, you can. The people who are making the decisions are the people in that courtroom, the jury. In fact, it's been deadlocked. It's been, it's kind of been just, what's the word? They've kind of hit a wall, because it seems like either one or many jurors are going against the rest of the jury in regards to coming to a final decision as far as a verdict. It's been very, very interesting nonetheless. In fact, You got 24,000 people right now watching this. Yeah, a fan. Literally. 24,000. And this is just on one platform. This is Long Crime. Shout out to Long Crime. But people are literally gathering together and watching a fan spin in the damn ceiling. This is how big of a deal this verdict is, okay? And there's a lot of people that are on watch for this. And I get it, okay? And you're absolutely entitled to your opinion. 110%. You're entitled to your opinion. But I also say that we should respect the others that may not be in agreement with your opinions about this particular trial right here. Okay, this trial, not the fan. Okay, we're not talking about how much power does it pull. What is the electricity bill like on just that one fan? No, we're talking about Karen Reed, and of course, we're all waiting to find out what is going to be the verdict. Now, will there be a verdict today? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I will say that regardless, the whole world will be on pause as soon as they make an announcement that they made a verdict or they have come to a verdict. This could be a hung jury. They could find her guilty. They can find her not guilty. In my personal opinion, it's been very interesting watching it from the sidelines, okay? Obviously, I haven't been covering it every single day, just like a lot of these great content creators have been doing. And shout out to them who have the time to sit down and watch 8 hours every single day or every time that there is a trial, okay, covering this or in regards to this particular case. But at the same time, I think that we should all wait and find out what happens here. I'm very interested to see what the verdict is going to be for sure. Because let's be real, prosecution had their arguments, right? They had their narrative. Defense had their argument, and they presented their narrative as well. It's going to be very interesting nonetheless when a verdict does drop. Will it drop today? I don't know. But I will say I am keeping an eye. I'm keeping close watch on this particular trial, because let's be real, it's going to be very interesting when the verdict is made. So moving on, because don't worry, like I said, we are keeping an eye on that. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on it because it's definitely something. And like I said, the fan still spinning. That ish be spinning still. Okay, and I am going to keep an eye on that for sure. Because like I said, everybody's pulling over to those platforms, understandably, but they're looking at a fan. So this is the reason why I ask for you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this particular feed, share this case, because honestly, I know people are very much hung up on verdict watch, which we are going to be watching that too. But there's plenty of other cases and other people's loved ones that are missing right now that need to be known about, okay? So we're going to get into that. And by you guys hitting that like button, it does help get the story out here and letting people know what's really going down and what's going on out here outside of the Karen Reed case, okay? So let's get into this, guys, shall we? Like I said, still keeping an eye on Karen Reed, okay, and all that. Trust me, we are. Okay. And like I said, I don't have an opinion on either side. It's very interesting. It's just very interesting. The stuff that you've heard, okay? The stuff that you've heard as far as corruption, the stuff that you've heard about possibly toxic relationship, a disgruntled girlfriend, how they painted those things, so on and so forth. It's very interesting. Okay. And like I said, I know that there's a lot more details that I'm not covering right now. Okay. Nor do I have the time to cover it in this particular show. But still, what we've seen has been interesting. Okay. And I also will say, like I said, everyone needs to chill out. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not up to us out here. It's up to the jury inside that courtroom. that are sitting there deliberating, and I'm sure bashing their heads against the wall right now, trying to figure out, trying to come up with, can we all just get on the same guilty or not guilty verdict? I feel like that's the situation right now. And so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens indeed. But the fan's still spinning. That fan be still spinning. So when there is a verdict, I'm sure we'll be talking about it, in general. Okay. Real quick, Fallon, Karen Reed case, controversy, speculation that the holdout is an ex-cop. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. If that's true, that's very, very interesting, right? Very interesting indeed. Okay. But let us continue on. Let's get into this conversation. Now, we are mainly here. The main conversation that we're here for is to have a conversation about Bryson Muir. Hopefully, I'm saying his last name right. I've been hearing it two different ways. But Bryson Muir, he is 14 years old. I'm sorry. He is 14 years old. And he was last seen leaving his grandmother's house in his mother's car, which was a white Chevy Suburban. Suddenly, about 4 minutes later, that car gets pulled over by police, and Bryson is nowhere to be found. He is not in the car. Now, just a little bit of information about Bryson, okay, or at least Bryson's family. He is the son of a ex-NFL defensive linebacker by the name of Daniel Muir. Now, apparently, he's also now a pastor, this man right here, which is very, very interesting, to say the least. And again, I got some questions in regards to all of this, okay? But hold on one second. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry, guys. There's, hold on. Something's up with the, share this with you guys. Something's going on. Come on.
And while I believe they've been out for somewhere in the vicinity of 22 or 23 hours, what I would submit.
Hold on, guys. Sorry. Something's going on as far as the Karen Reed case. So I'm just trying to pull this up really quick so we can see what the heck's going on. Hold on. Okay. Let's try that again. No, what the hell? What the heck's going on? Once I get it figured out. Uno momento, por favor. Sorry, y'all. I don't know why there's an echo going on here. Let me try this.
You are unmuted.
We're back on the record on the Karen Reed, Your Honor. We've got a question from the jury.
All right. So, Mr. Lally, I'd like to hear from the Commonwealth first about due and thorough deliberations.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
I'd like to hear from the Commonwealth first about your view on whether the jury has conducted due and thorough deliberations.
Your Honor, while I understand that they have been at this for a while, I would submit that they have not, and I would ask the court not to make such a finding. Reasons for that, Your Honor, this jury heard, I believe, about 29 days or so of testimony, 657 different exhibits marked as evidence, 74 different witnesses who testified before them. And while I believe they've been out for somewhere in the vicinity of 22 or 23 hours, what I would submit to the court based on all of that, as well as the complexity of the issues presented to them, they really haven't even had 1 hour of deliberation equivalent to 1 day of testimony to each of the days of testimony that they've heard. So while they have been at it for a while, I would submit that based on the evidence and testimony and witnesses and the complexity of issues in this case, I would submit that they have not done a thorough deliberation up to this point.
Ms. Giannetti?
Our view is that it's time for Tui Rodriguez. They've come back now twice, indicating essentially that they're hopelessly deadlocked. The content of this latest message is that they have been over all the evidence. Previous message said they did an exhaustive review. This time they said that they have fundamental disagreements about what the evidence means, and it's a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of lack of understanding. This court, when you sent the jury out, encouraged them not to take a straw vote, encouraged them to go over all the evidence in a very methodical manner. I think all indications are that they've done that, and this is what Tui Rodriguez is for. We asked the court to get it.
Yeah. All right. I think this has been an extraordinary jury. I've never seen a note like this reporting to be at an impasse. I do find that they're now, with the additional time that they went out without coming back Friday saying that they were deadlocked, is due and thorough deliberation. So I'm going to give Tui Rodriguez. So are they ready to come in, Jody? So why don't I take a recess?
Take a recess, please.
All right. And then Nancy.
Interesting. Sorry, guys. Interesting. So they're saying that it's deadlocked. Thank you, guys. I'm unmuted now. But they're saying that it's deadlocked, but I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm wondering what's going on here with this as well. I got questions, guys. Yeah, Groovy. I'm so confused right now too, because it almost sounds like they're bringing him back in, like they're gonna bring the jury back in. I don't know. Maybe. So that's the other thing too. Does this mean that they're hung? You know what I mean? That's the other thing too. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. So that's very, very interesting. But I think they also are saying that too, that the jury has a question. So it looks like the jury's going to be coming back into the courtroom here shortly to address whatever questions that they may have. But we're still looking at a fan. Ain't that fitting? Ain't that fitting? Going back to OnlyFan. Solo fan. All right. But again, just like the world, it just keeps on spinning as the fan spins. You know what I mean? So we're gonna keep on talking. We're gonna keep having a conversation. We're gonna keep asking the questions, and we're gonna keep going into our conversation. Like I said, I didn't think it. Let me just say this. I really don't think. I mean, I'll be very surprised, but I don't think that there's going to be a verdict today. I know some of you guys are like, "Oh, shut up. You ain't got it right." Maybe I'm wrong. But if they come back in with another question, I think it's going to be at least another day of deliberation. But maybe they will come up with a verdict by the end of the day today. But I don't know. I really don't know. If they're so deadlocked, reasonable doubt is coming into play. And yeah, there's rumor, like what we just heard from one of somebody in their comments saying, oh yeah, there's an ex-cop that's a juror in there and all that. It's like, well, when they were picking their jury, they should have been known that he was an ex-cop. Would they? And of course, as far as the defense, for the defense, right? It's like, no, we want juror 13 out of here. Juror 1725, we don't want 1725 here, but he still seemed to be part of the jury. So if that is true, that's very interesting, right? But we're going to have to see if they unanimously come to an agreement or not, because one side could literally be going, hey, or all of them except for one could literally be saying, oh, she's guilty or not guilty. Let's be fair here. And that other person could just have that one opposing view saying, no, I disagree with the lot of y'all's. And here's the reason why. And then they got to keep talking until they either convince that juror to join their side, or that juror convinces every single person in that room that, hey, he's got a point. I see what he's saying. I like him. He good. Or she. Let's be fair. Okay? Because nowadays, even with this case, some of y'all crazy. Okay? Some of y'all going off the handles with this. Okay? And all I say is, hey, peace be with you. All right? Peace be with you. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. Okay? We're going to keep an eye on this. All right? It's still here. We're back to this case, all right? Because this is an important case. And again, I keep asking, and I'm going to keep asking until I'm blue in the face, okay? Please share this feed. Let people know about this particular case, okay? Because we're eventually going to find out whether this is a hung jury, if this is a guilty verdict or not guilty verdict. We're going to hear that eventually within the next week, within this week, I think, okay? I don't think this jury is going to sit there and go, let's deliberate for another week. They got things to do too. So I'm sure they're trying to wrap this up, nip this in the bud, come up with their verdict so that they can go back to their regular lives as well. You know, it's a lot. It's been many, many weeks of focus on this particular case, right? And in this particular trial. So again, I'm going to repeat this again because, you know, obviously we're watching this and we're, you know, doing this at the same time. So first off, this young man right here is 14-year-old Bryson Muir. He is the son of ex-NFL defensive lineman Daniel Muir, okay? Also, Daniel Muir is also a pastor of a very interesting organization, which we are going to look at in a little bit, okay? And of course, I got a lot of questions because from what they're saying, this young man, 14-year-old Bryson, was at his grandmother's house, okay? In Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio. And of course, as he leaves, he gets into a car with his mom, allegedly Daniel, the dad, and another man is in the car as well. An unknown man is in the car. 4 minutes later, they're driving down the road. Police pull over this white Chevy Suburban, and young Bryson is nowhere to be found inside that car. Within 4 minutes, this young man disappeared. Doesn't make any sense, right? And I got a lot of questions. Like I said, this doesn't make any earthly sense. Again, this is his dad, okay? Daniel Muir, okay? He was a former NFL defensive lineman. He played for the Colts at one point, the Rams, etc. We got a little bit of a breakdown of his football history, but this is a very big man. And of course, you know, I will be sharing more in just a minute. Okay? Man, oh man.
Court is in session. Please be seated.
All right. So, jurors, I am in receipt of your note. Judge Cannoni, despite our commitment to the duty entrusted to us, we find ourselves deeply divided by fundamental differences in our opinions and state of mind. The divergence in our views are not rooted in a lack of understanding or effort, but deeply held convictions that each of us carry, ultimately leading to a point where consensus is unattainable. We recognize the weight of this admission and the implications it holds. So, Mr. Foreman and members of the jury, I have an instruction for you. Our Constitution and laws provide that in a criminal case, the principal method for deciding questions of fact is the verdict of a jury. In most cases, and perhaps strictly speaking in all cases, absolute certainty cannot be attained, nor is it expected. The verdict to which each juror agrees must, of course, be his or her own verdict, the result of his or her own convictions, and not merely an acquiescence in the conclusions of the other jurors. Still, in order to bring 12 minds to a unanimous result, you must examine the issues you have to decide with candor and with a proper regard and respect for each other's opinions. You should consider that it is desirable that this case be decided. You have been selected in the same manner and from the same source as any future jury would be selected. There is no reason to suppose that this case will ever be submitted to 12 persons who are more intelligent, more impartial, or more competent to decide it than you are, or that more or clearer evidence will be produced at another trial. With all this in mind, it is your duty to decide this case if you can do so conscientiously. In order to make a decision more attainable, the law always imposes the burden of proof on the Commonwealth to establish every essential element of each indictment beyond a reasonable doubt. If you are left with a reasonable doubt as to any essential element of any indictment, then the defendant is entitled to the benefit of that doubt and must be found not guilty on that indictment. In conferring together, you ought to give proper respect to each other's opinions and listen with an open mind to each other's arguments. Where there is disagreement, those jurors who would find the defendant not guilty should consider whether the doubt in their own minds is a reasonable one, if it makes no impression upon the minds of the other jurors, who are equally honest and equally intelligent, who have heard the same evidence with the same attention, who have an equal desire to arrive at the truth, and who have taken the same oath as jurors. At the same time, those jurors who would find the defendant guilty ought seriously to ask themselves whether they may not reasonably doubt the correctness of their judgment if it is not shared by other members of the jury. They should ask themselves whether they should distrust the weight or sufficiency of the evidence if it has failed to convince the minds of their fellow jurors beyond a reasonable doubt. I will now ask you, Mr. Foreman, and members of the jury to return to your deliberations with these instructions in mind. And as with my final instructions and the supplemental instructions I sent in, I will send in a copy of this charge as well. All right, so may that be marked, Madam Court Reporter, please.
Hamburger.
All right, so thank you. We'll send you folks back out to deliberate.
All rise for the court, please. Follow me.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You are muted. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Wow. Okay, guys. All right. That was very interesting. So they're like, we can't agree. I mean, this is just from my understanding. Okay, we can't agree on a final verdict. Okay, like this person or these persons, because again, just because what the media is saying out here is saying, oh, it's only one juror, does not mean it's only one juror. It could be a handful of jurors. You never know. It could be 2 jurors. It could be 3 out of the bunch. You never know, right? So what's interesting though, okay, is that even the judge is saying, you got to come back with an answer. Lo siento. Ain't that crazy? They can't sit and they're like, you got to make sure that you, okay, if that's the decision, we got to make sure it's the full decision. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, tired. It was like, yeah, it's like, you can't make us agree. Dag nabbit. Weird, right? Weird. And then she said, I need you to really look into this. I need you guys to agree. Wow. They're going to be in there for a little bit, y'all. I'm just letting you know. I know some of you guys, I know some of you guys feel one way or the other about this. Some of you guys are hardcore guilty. Some of y'all are hardcore not guilty. I get it. I get it 100%, but dag nabbit. There's somebody or somebodies in that jury that is literally saying, I ain't budging, bro. Y'all might think one thing, but I still think this, and I ain't moving. I ain't budging. There's no way for you to change my mind. My mind is made up. I have spoken. Interesting, right? Wow. Wow. Because in my head, okay, if it's a hung jury, she could be retried. Couldn't she? Couldn't she be retried? Could they go to another trial all over again? And we'd have to do this whole thing, all mother loving over again? Ain't that what it is if it's a hung jury? Or is that the one where she doesn't have to face double jeopardy? Like she could not get charged for the same or be in trial for the same charges. Correct? So hung jury means it's a wrap. She goes deuces and she gone. She a free woman from my understanding. If it's hung. If it's well hung. If it's hung. Sorry. If it's hung. That's interesting, right? Interesting. Hold on. Let's do a little Googles, okay? Real quick. I just want to make sure, because of course we want to make sure, keep it fair. So I asked, can you get retried after hung jury? So it says, yes, the prosecution can retry a case after a hung jury. Okay, that's interesting. Which is when a jury is unable to reach a unanimous verdict. In fact, retrying the case is the most common outcome after a hung jury. Interesting. The prosecution's decision to retry the case depends on several factors, including the severity of the crime, the strength of the evidence, and the degree of disagreement among the jurors. That is very interesting. Interesting. So if it's a mistrial, right, you won't get retried for that same crime. If it's a hung jury, you will get tried. You could get tried again. But of course, prosecution's decision to retry that case depends on several factors: the severity of the crime, the strength of the evidence, and the degree of disagreement among the jurors. Now, if you are looking at this and you are prosecution and you're sitting there going, I feel like she is guilty of all these things, but it ends up being a hung jury because of, say, one person saying, no, I don't think she did this, or I think she did do this, whatever it may be. You're looking at it and going, okay, well, if the jury was sitting there, if majority of the jurors believe that she did it, and then only one said no, we could retry this mug because majority of the jury believed our narrative, believed our argument. I could see that. And of course, the severity of the crime. And of course, what else was there? The strength of the evidence. Now, I leave that question up to you guys as far as the strength of their evidence. Okay, because I know that it's been very polarizing on both sides, saying, "Hey, no, the prosecution did a terrible job in the presentation of the evidence. A lot of the cops that were coming in, a lot of the first responders, so on and so forth, that were a part of it, it was just really, really bad, right?" Like I said, it all depends on what prosecution feels and what really happened. What's actually happening in that deliberation room right now as we speak, right? It's very interesting because, yes, you could look at text messages, voicemails, and all that stuff, but this still does not mean an admission of guilt. It is not the smoking gun evidence. Sure, you can look at the broken taillight. You could look at all the other extra stuff that they found around his body at the time that he passed. Still, there's been so much speculation, and this has been so interesting as far as the corruption side, the corruption idea, right? That even the defense was using as well. It definitely muddies up the water, right? It muddies up everything when it comes to this whole trial. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but it may be a hung jury. It may just be a hung jury. So she'll be able to walk, but it all depends on if prosecution wants to try her again, which is a good possibility if their evidence is strong enough, or if they find stronger evidence, right? But at the end of the day, she may just want the hung jury or not guilty verdict, But like I said, I'm just one person. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV and all that stuff. But that's very interesting. I just don't think that we're going to have an answer today, but you never know. Maybe they say, we can't come to a conclusion. We spent all day trying to convince this juror or jurors to hop on this side of the verdict. They won't budge. If they're not willing to budge, then shoot, that's a wrap, son. Okay? That's a wrap, son. Okay? That's what I say. All right. And real quick, just so everybody knows, okay. Because I have been this is a kind of a left turn and it's kind of like some inner workings behind the scenes crap, but I just want to let you guys know, or let my mods know. Okay. Here it is. I've looked through the thing because I know there's one specific mod in here. I looked through the thing. Their name is not on my background, like my backstage stuff. I tried to look for it. I even entered their name and took their name out. Did it twice and still nothing. So I don't know what's going on as far as that goes. I'm not trying to put all the responsibility on one specific mod, but I just want to say I have looked into it at great lengths for a whole week and nothing has changed on my end. Just so you know, I've been reading the comments. I just want to make sure you guys know what's going on. I know Pretzel has been trying to get on here like crazy. It's not on my end. I don't know what happened. I don't control the stopping or goings of our people who come in and part of our families. You know what I mean? So if you guys can look into that, that would be amazing. I've looked on my end and I have nothing. My hands are empty here. So I'm trying. Okay. But if you can look into it on your end, maybe there was a mistake. Maybe you clicked on the wrong button, something of that sort. That'd be greatly, greatly appreciated because we love Pretzel and we want Pretzel back. I just don't know what's going on over here. Okay. I've been trying, and I don't know what's going on. So whoever may have hit the wrong button, maybe by accident, so on and so forth, please just do your due diligence. Take a second, look, see if there's something in your backstage that could possibly remedy this issue. If not, I don't know. Okay. But hopefully we can get that remedy sooner rather than later. Obviously, as you guys already know, we are obviously going to be keeping an eye on this situation with the Karen Reed case. Okay. We are going to be looking into this, but we got to get into this conversation and this particular story. Okay. Because I don't think we're going to be seeing them coming back with anything in the next little bit. So let me tell you guys this case, okay? Again, for the third time in a row, okay? But like I said, we're keeping an eye on on the Karen Reed verdict because I know a lot of us are very interested to see what the final verdict or what the decision is going to be. Is it going to be hung? Is it going to be not guilty, whatever it may be? It's still going to be a very interesting verdict nonetheless. I have a feeling it's leaning towards hung. But we'll see what happens, right? And again, if it's hung, she could still be tried. She can go through another trial all over again, okay? Her whole situation may not be done, okay? And also, I will say this too. If it is hung, right? If it ends up becoming hung, I'm wondering what side were they really leaning hard on, right? Were they more on the side of guilty? Were they on the side of not guilty? I'm very curious about that. And hopefully we get an answer in the near future. Okay. About that. And we may never get that answer, but at the same time, we'll see what happens. Cause you know how it is. Jurors, as soon as the verdict is out, some of them come out and start speaking like, oh yeah, this is what happened behind the scenes in our deliberation room. We are all down for this verdict, but this particular juror, we can't name their name, but they weren't for it and blah, blah, blah. And there was a big, argument in there, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So we will see what happens with that. And I'm sure somebody will start talking as soon as a decision is made from that deliberation room. Okay. Trust. Somebody going to come out with a book. Some juror is going to come out with a book. Watch. Okay. Watch. Anyway, as I was saying, we got to get straight back into this. Okay. And like I said, this is 14-year-old Bryson Muir. I have a lot of questions about this case because it seems a little bit weird. He goes missing 4 minutes after he left his grandmother's house in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay. He was in Cleveland, Ohio, visiting his grandma. He showed up in not in bad shape. Let's just say he was last seen looking like this. I know, trigger warning and all that, but I do want to make sure you know that he was allegedly attacked by his father. And when he went to go see and visit his grandma, allegedly he said something along the lines of, "Don't worry, mama," or "Don't worry, grandma, I deserve this." That he deserved what happened on his face right there. Now, I just want you guys also to know he is about 6'2". He's a tall kid, 185 pounds. He was last seen with this bruise on his face. He was wearing an orange Under Armour shirt and jeans when he went missing, when he was last seen. He basically looked just like this right here, what we're seeing right here. Okay? You can see a little bit of a fat lip. Like, he looks bad. Okay? So I'm only going to show that briefly because I know that's not the greatest of footage to see. All right? But this kid went to his grandma's like that. Just like what I just showed you. And said, "Don't worry, grandma, I deserved it." Now, how in the hell does any 14-year-old young man deserve that type of treatment? Any person, any kid, any person deserve that type of treatment and say instantly, "Don't worry, grandma, I deserved it." Now, again, let me just show you his face, the dad, Daniel Muir. Okay, former NFL defensive lineman. He played for the Colts for many years. Daniel Muir, right there. He's a big guy. Very, very big guy. Allegedly, and this is what's interesting, they say that when Bryson went into this car, this white Chevy Suburban, I've heard different reports. I've heard that it was his mom picking him up. It was Daniel, his dad, and someone else, an unnamed man, in the back seat. Then police allegedly pulled them over 4 minutes later. Open up the door, he was no longer there. He went missing. He was gone. 4 minutes. So what actually happened here? Now, I know a lot of us have the questions, so I'm going to ask a couple questions now before we dive deeper into this conversation. Number one, did he just hop out the car and run? He could have. Maybe he couldn't handle the treatment that he was getting from his father, possibly his family. Maybe he just ran. Or maybe there's an exchange of some sort that happened very quickly. Like I said, it just doesn't make sense, right? So let's get into this, okay? And again, shout out to everybody who sent me this information, asking me to cover this case. I appreciate you asking me to look into this and talk about this, okay? But it doesn't make any sense because now we're hearing that the parents are now prime suspects and also the parents are not cooperating now. Can you believe that? Kid goes missing and then about 9-10 days later, they start to cooperate. And then suddenly they're being cooperative. This is what they say in some of these reports. And then suddenly after that, they weren't cooperating anymore. Now they're prime suspects and they're still not cooperating as we speak to this day. There's a lot of speculation of Pastor Daniel Muir being involved in some sort of cult. I can use that word only a few times, but he's involved in a very interesting organization that he spearheads, and he's one of the main guys of this particular organization. Okay. And there's a lot of speculation that maybe this organization are the people that took this young man. But how could he disappear within 4 minutes of leaving the front stoop of his grandmama's house? That's the one thing I'd like to know as well. Now, yes, Melly, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yes, they call it a radical cult. All right. And so, of course, I'm quite curious, what the hell is going on here? And why is this happening? Why did this happen to this young man? And Nicole B, see, that's the thing, though. One of the main questions I have is, why were they pulled over 4 minutes after, and I know that's very precise, but why was that white Chevy Suburban pulled over 4 minutes after they picked up Bryson from his grandmama's house? I don't think that she's lying. I think she may have called 911 out of fear because of how Bryson looked when she saw him for the first time when he came to visit. And she probably said, I can't do this. I can't deal with this. Like I said, I don't know. We don't have all the answers as of yet. All we know is 4 minutes later, they get pulled over. I guess they were looking in to see what was going on with Bryson, and Bryson was nowhere to be found. It's very interesting, but like I said, we got some articles, we got some things we're going to look into, so let's get into this, okay? Now, a silver alert has been declared for Bryson Muir, okay? Described by the ISP, the Indiana State Police. He is, of course, like I said, 6'2", 85 pounds, okay? Black male with black hair and brown eyes. Muir was last seen with a black eye and wearing an orange Under Armour shirt and blue jeans. State police say, despite Bryson's parents cooperating with police, we'll say loosely because they ain't cooperating anymore, all right? Daniel and Kristin Muir have since, quote unquote, backed out of an agreement to bring Bryson to an ISP post in Peru and speak with detectives. Now, I don't know about y'all. As soon as they go, yeah, we're going to help out. We're going to help you. No problem. We got you. We're going to show up with him. He's fine. We got him. Let's just say they said that. Yeah, we have him. He's okay. He's fine. Yeah, can you please bring him in so we can do a wellness check on him to make sure he's okay? And then they say, oh, yeah, we can't do that no more. Yeah, we about that. We can't do that. What's up with that? To me, that's a dead giveaway. That's something ain't right. Okay? That something is not right. But let's continue on. And thank you, mods. Thank you so much for holding it down. Good eye, guys. Good eye. So, from Logansport, Indiana. Okay? Hold on. Boom. So, from Logansport, Indiana, okay? Police continue to search for a missing 14-year-old Logansport boy over a week after he's disappeared. And it's been well over a week. I mean, he went missing June 16th, okay? So it's been well over just a week by now, guys, all right? So they say that the child's parents, including former Indianapolis Colts player, now named as a person of interest, are in an early stage of cooperation with investigators. The hell does that mean? Okay. Indiana State Police are asking for the public's help in locating Bryson Muir, 14-year-old boy last seen 12 days ago, who may have been the victim of which we got to use these code words, okay, but a victim of being attacked by his parents. Bryson is the son of former, we already know about this, but defensive lineman Daniel Muir, who is now a person of interest in the investigation. Now, this is according to the grandma, okay? They say Bryson was last seen by non-parental family members on June 16th after leaving his grandmother's home outside of Cleveland, Ohio, with his mother, Kristin Muir, in a white 2015 Chevy Suburban. The child's grandmother reported to the police that the child had he had something on his eye, all right? I had to use these code words, unfortunately, guys. It's frustrating. And might be being attacked by his parents. ISP Captain Galaviz said it was just minutes between when the son and the mother left the home and when local police pulled her Suburban over. Now, what's interesting about this is minutes. Okay, they say he was not found in the car with his mother. And that's why I'm saying some reports say it's just his mom in the car. Some say it's just his mama and some unknown man in the car. Then I've heard other reports where it's mama, his dad, and an unknown man in the car when he was getting picked up from his grandmama's house, which is very interesting. But nonetheless, the fact that they say it was minutes and it wasn't a very long period of time whatsoever. But in that period of time, Bryson wasn't able to be found. We don't know where he went. So again, he was in the car. He waves goodbye to, he kisses his grandma goodbye. He jumps into this car. Mainly, they say the common denominator, the main one they say that was in the car for sure is the mama. But like I said, I've heard different reports of saying there's been 3 or 2, but at the end of the day, mama was the one driving that car. Okay. She's steering that wheel. All right. So then, minutes later, kid is gone. Cops pull over, look inside the car, kid is gone. Minutes, guys. So in my mind, I keep thinking, well, you could do a lot of damage in just a few minutes. Let's be real, okay? And it takes 2 seconds for any person to hop out of a car and kick rocks and just sprint into the woods. Let's just say, right? And that's what I feel could have happened. He could have just ran off. But then at the same time, why would the parents be so willing to help or start the beginning processes of cooperating and then suddenly pull out of the agreement? Interesting. Now, I am kind of curious about that too, Nicole. Was the truck or the Suburban thoroughly checked? Did they really search through the entire car to make sure he wasn't maybe hiding in the background or something like that? Okay. I am quite curious about that as well. I am quite curious about that as well. But I don't know. Okay. And mods, I would just say keep an eye on these bots because there's a lot of ridiculous bots coming in right now for some weird reason. But again, very interesting nonetheless. Okay. And again, I got questions about all this because it just doesn't make sense. 4 minutes, kid is gone. Where did he go? Where did he go? Right? So let's continue on. Let's see. So investigation into the parents, which we're going to talk about the parents and, talk about at least the dad a little bit here. And, we're going to talk about that here. So 2 days later, the Cass County Department of Child Services asked ISP troopers to look into allegations of DB inflicted upon Bryson at a home in Logansport. This was after the department wasn't able to get a hold of the family. See, and that's interesting too. All right. They couldn't get a hold of the family, yet this young man it has been missing. And that's weird too. You see what I'm saying? Wouldn't you be like at the edge of your seat anytime you see that the 5-0 is calling? You're picking up the phone. I don't know about you guys, but I'm picking up the phone immediately. Say less, bro. What's going on? You good? What's going on with any information about my son? If that's the case, if he was missing, wouldn't you be more concerned about the well-being of your son, of your kid? Just doesn't make sense. They weren't able to get a hold of the family. Like I said, what is going on here? What are they hiding? Why are they hiding like this? Because of that photo we just saw? Because of what he did to this young man's eye? Why drag your feet? This screams, by the way, Cody Bisbee. Don't worry, we're going to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane on that as well. But anyway, up until Thursday, like I said, up until just a few days ago, all right, June 27th, ISP had been unable to get a hold of the Muir parents despite going to the family's home along the 1700 block of West US 24 in Logansport several times. They went over to that house several times and were not able to get a conversation with the family, with the parents. What's up with that? Now, the captain says the detectives have made contact with the parents. This is an old report, just so you guys know, all right, at this Logansport property, and that they are, quote unquote, beginning to cooperate with the investigation. Now, this was a few days ago, by the way. As of recently, parents and families not helping out at all. Like I said, they're not trying to help. However, Bryson has still yet to be found, and no arrests have been made as of last Thursday, 3:30 p.m. last Thursday. Okay, now, before we get into this section, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, who the F is this guy? Who is Daniel Muir? He is a pastor, but he also has a history of football. So let's take a look at this. Daniel Trevante Muir, okay, born in September of 1983. He's a former football defensive tackle in the National Football League. He was signed by the Green Bay Packers as an undrafted free agent in 2007. He played college football at Kent State. Muir was also a member of the Colts, the Rams, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Houston Texans, and the Raiders. Okay? So this man has been out here playing some serious foosball. Okay? Ex-NFL player. And what's interesting about this too is you got to remember, this is he's a known face. Okay? He's an athlete. And the fact that they still have not stepped forward, see, this is the other reason why I'm bringing up this conversation, okay? Not only because you guys have brought this to my attention, I also, I always keep my eye out here trying to see what cases are out here and all that. And this one was very interesting because, again, you got a young man, 14-year-old boy, Bryson, seen with bruises on his face, clearly in bad shape, staying with his grandma, and then seconds later he disappears. But then also you got a dad who's a former athlete, okay, who is known out here, and I'm sure when he played was looked at as like the town hero. He's a celebrity. And you'd think that they would operate in a better fashion than the way that they're operating right now. And I'm not only just saying Daniel, I'm saying Kristin, his wife, and any other family members that are involved in this that are not helping out in the investigation on the whereabouts of this young man, of Bryson. It just doesn't make sense. You are a name out here. You don't think that there's going to be more heat, more eyes looking at you? You didn't think about that? So this doesn't make any sense to me. It's very odd. And how they're sitting there going, oh yeah, we'll help out. And then they backed out of the agreement to even show that this young man, Bryson is still alive. They're not even willing to do that. That's weird, guys. That's very, very odd. Very, very odd. And very, very telling in my personal opinion. Okay? Very, very telling. So let's get on. And of course, we're going to get into a little bit more about Daniel here in just a second. But let's talk about this property. Logansport property, possible organizations, radical organizations connections. Okay? So state police said that Muir's Logansport property is owned by the Servant Leaders Foundation, a nonprofit religious group. The Chevy Suburban driven by Kristin, his wife, is also owned by that foundation as well. Okay? So news crews recently went to the home located off a secluded 2-lane road in rural Logansport and surrounded mostly by trees. A long gravel driveway is cut off near the road by a fence marked with multiple no trespassing and private property signs. There are no signs outside the home with the name Servant Leaders Foundation, but there is one right past the fence that says, "Welcome to Straightway, Indiana, Goshen." A crest on the sign has an S on a shield with 2 swords forming an X behind the shield. You see it right here, guys. I know it's kind of small, but you see it right here. Now, I want to share with you guys the actual website. Here is the website. It's very interesting. Okay. Let's see. About. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Israelites of Straightway. We pray that the truth presented on our site will resonate within you and bring you to true freedom. We are a nation of Hebrew Israelites who are commandment keepers, obedient to Yah, God, and our Savior Jesus Christ. We are blessed with a vibrant deliverance ministry, a life-changing truth from a true Jeremiah 3:15 pastor. We praise and thank Yah for all things. In regards to what to expect from us, expect to hear things that will upset you. Expect to find things in your Bible that you have never seen before. You will be challenged, but the freedom in your life and the relationship with your God that is possible makes the journey so worth it. Now, of course, they're talking about tithes and offerings, which I'm not going to go into that. But what's interesting is this is a very real thing. Take a look. And yeah, Elle, it's definitely giving organization vibes. Radical organization vibes. How's that? Interesting, right? This is, and that's a large group of people. That's a big congregation, y'all. Big congregation. Don't worry, we're going to take a look at some of this stuff here too, so you get a better idea of what we're looking at here. So let's take a look at, oh shoot. Hold on. Got to bring that back up. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the stuff, because I know a lot of us are wondering what kind of stuff. And this is Pastor Muir, Daniel Muir, preaching. Take a look.
You got to embrace this pain, man, while keeping this honor, man. You got to embrace it. And see, this is what I'm talking about today. As I say, we ain't going to be too much. We ain't going to be long. Okay? But we got to embrace this, man. Be happy in this. Be joyful in this. Knowing that you're growing. You can't work out and get in shape without going through no pain. Come on. You got to go through some pain. But when you start to see the results and you just like, oh, man.
Come on, man.
You start getting more confident.
That's it.
You start hitting it like, man, let's go.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? You got to go through some pain. I tore my back. But guess what? Yesterday, I turned around and did 35 push-ups. I said, hey, how many of y'all I went around? Hey, man, guess how many push-ups I did? Excited. You think it wasn't painful feeling that scar tissue tear up? Yeah, it was painful. But I know I'm getting stronger. And if that's in the flesh, how much more in the spirit when you endure hardness as a good soldier and you stand up in the face of every bit of your adversity and you stand there and you say, in Jesus' name, I'm not moving. How about that? Come on. How about that? Come on.
Okay. I get, I'm sure you guys get a general idea of what's going on here. Okay. Now, there's obviously a slew of different videos of him preaching and all that, and some are very passionate. Some are very, they're more passionate than what I just showed you guys. Okay. Now, I know some will look at that and go, oh, that shows that this guy's a violent guy. It shows that it's a very passionate person, but, the proof is in the pudding on what's on his son's face. And his son allegedly said to his own grandmother, don't worry about this, Grandma. I deserved it. What kind of upbringing is that? Just saying. What kind of upbringing is that? Now, again, a lot of this doesn't make any sense as far as the timeline goes. From my understanding, and from what I was gathering, it seemed like he was, I guess there was some sort of, like they were estranged of some sort. It's so confusing. And like I said, because there's so much information that they're not really giving, which is kind of frustrating. But I do want to share with you guys a video here so you guys can kind of get more ideas of what's going on here. We got a bunch of different videos that we're going to look at. So these are not in chronological order. I'm sorry. We're not, of course, let's take a look at some of these videos and, kind of unpack them as we go through them. Okay.
Tonight, Indiana State Police have issued a silver alert for the missing son of former Colts player Daniel Muir. Investigators say Bryson Muir was last seen leaving his grandma's house near Cleveland about 2 weeks ago. Our Chase Howell talked with the boy's grandmother tonight and Daniel Muir's sister. So, Chase, what did they say?
Scott, his sister tells me Daniel has been estranged from his family for years. When Cheryl Wright went to pick Bryson up in Toledo at her daughter's request, this is how she expected him to look. Instead, when he got in the car, she says he had a black eye, a fat lip, and a swollen face.
He told me that, he deserved it and it was okay. So I told him that it wasn't. No one should beat their children like that, not if they love them.
I completely and 110% agree. So you're telling me that he shows up and he looks like this and the kid is saying, hey, I deserved it. It's all good. I deserved it. No. And I don't care if the kid mouthed off. I don't know. That kind of punishment, whatever it was, unwarranted at all. Unwarranted 110%.
Friday night, I spoke to Wright on the phone for about 15 minutes about her daughter Kristin, son-in-law Daniel, and what she believes happened to her 14-year-old grandson.
So I just want to find Bryson. I want to make sure that he's okay.
Wright says the day she went to pick Bryson up, there were 3 people in the car, his mom and dad, and a man she didn't know. But only Bryson drove the nearly 2 hours back to her Cleveland home with her.
Hold on. I want you to hear that again. One more time.
Kristin, son-in-law Daniel, and what she believes happened to her 14-year-old grandson.
So I just want to find Bryson. I want to make sure that he's okay.
Wright says the day she went to pick Bryson up, there were 3 people in the car, his mom and dad, and a man she didn't know.
3 individuals. I've heard other reports where they say it's just Kristin, the mom. Now, of course, you're hearing in this report, 3 different people were in there. I'll let him repeat that one more again.
Dad and a man she in the car, his mom and dad, and a man she didn't know.
So not only was it Kristin, his mom, his dad, Daniel, and then some random guy that was in that car as well. Before he hopped in that car, before he went missing. A lot of people can do a lot of things in a very short amount of time if you are all working together. You can make somebody disappear fast, okay? You also got to remember, let me just remind you. Do you see this man? He's like 6'1", 300. I don't know how big he is. Okay? Probably tipping closer to 300. Clearly, he's lifted some heavy things in his life. He is a defensive linebacker. You got a young man, a young boy, 14 years old. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. Kid is skinny. And this man is very, very strong. And God knows who else was in that car. He says another person that he did not, that they did not know, that the person that saw who was in the car did not know this unnamed man. You're telling me that man was just some scrawny whatever? Like, probably a big guy too. You can move a kid or move somebody who's 185 pounds with two strong men very easily. Think about that too. I know it's only 4 minutes, okay? But that's still 4 minutes. There's a lot you can do. Listen, we did the Eliza Fletcher case, right? Young woman was mother was running, training for the Boston Marathon. She was running through her town, and then she just got snatched like that. It was seconds when she was snatched up, right? SUV pulls up, a dark SUV pulls up, just grabs her in the car and speeds off. It's seconds, okay? Seconds. Takes seconds for her to just disappear. What if somebody pulled up and did an exchange? Put them in the car and go, now. I'm just saying, it takes 2 seconds to do something terrible. And if you have something planned out, have that person disappear through a plan. Exchange them, pass them into another car and drive off or whatever. And officials, Zandia, see, if that's true, for this case, it was premeditated. Exactly. There's no way that you can do that in 4 minutes and then either kid or body gone within 4 minutes without a trace. There's no way. There's some sort of plan that happened. Pulled up, there's an exchange in a car or something of that sort, and they kept moving, and that car kept driving in the general direction that they were going to go to, and then they get pulled over 4 minutes later. And I don't care. Like, here's the thing. I don't care if this kid was was acting out. He was 14. Remember, he is 14. So for a fact there's some teenage angst. There's some sort of rebellion, so on and so forth. He may not be getting along with his dad at this point because maybe he's trying to establish his own manhood, right? Could be just too much testosterone in one place at one time. They may just not get along. And then he goes, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson, right? And then all of a sudden, hey, this kid's going to learn something. We're going to take him to such and such. We're going to put him in this place, or we're going to teach him. We're going to take him to this area on our property where our group praises and worships at. And he going to learn something quick. Maybe they caught wind that they were about to get checked on. This is the other part I asked too. What was the dialogue when they pulled up and picked up young Bryson before they drove away from grandmama's house? Was there an argument? Was there, I'm calling the police? Was there I've already called CPS and they're going to check on you? Was there an argument maybe before they came up and picked him up? Grandmama calling, going, hey, I am not cool with what you just did to young Bryson. What's on his face? The hell you do to my grandson? You see what I'm saying? Threatening to call CPS, threatening to call 911 because of the obvious attack, the obvious A that happened to this young man's face. I'm just saying you could start piecing these things together. I know that's like, maybe some of y'all might look at that as a stretch or anything of that sort, but there could be a lot that happened here beforehand. And he said, oh, yeah, we got to handle this or something. I don't know. It just seems a bit odd because that exchange or him disappearing within 4 minutes is fast. Hella fast. But again, it could be as just as simple as him getting out of the car and running because maybe he just couldn't handle the pain anymore. Maybe that's what it is too. But like I said, I'm just asking questions. All right. No definitive answer here. Just asking questions, guys. All right. But let's continue on. And I hope that they find this young man. And this is the other thing too. I beg of you guys, please hashtag Bryson Muir's name. Okay. It is Bryson, Bryson, Muir, Muir. Please hashtag his name. Share this particular show. It doesn't matter. Do a TikTok about it. Whatever you need to do, just do it for trying to bring the word out about this young man because this young man is nowhere to be found. Again, gone without a trace. And you got the parents not willing to cooperate with 5-0. That's odd too. Okay, that's very, very odd. Real quick before we go on to the rest of this, Jackie M and Laura, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And if you guys want to become a member, please consider hitting that join button down below. Okay, support the channel if you can. That'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, these purple lights don't pay for themselves, so I'd appreciate the love and care. Okay, and thank you, Tipsy Gypsy, for gifting 1 membership. And I always say, please, if you can, one way of giving back, because this person, Tipsy Gypsy, just gave you guys some positive love, whoever got that gift of a membership, all I ask is for you to pay it forward, okay? Open the door for somebody, do something positive for somebody, okay? Make somebody smile, okay? That's all I ask. Or if you want to, you're more than welcome to buy somebody a membership here as well. We're not done yet, guys. Tired as a mother. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. They need to take the case to a different county. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about the particular county, Logansport. I don't know if they drag their feet. I don't know if they really put in the work and do their due diligence in regards to this, in regards to the missing person cases. Regardless, cases like this, yes, they definitely need to be looked into a lot more and more hands on deck, right? But let's continue on here, guys.
But only Bryson drove the nearly 2 hours back to her Cleveland home with her.
She just told me that I needed to pick him up. And because this is an ongoing case, I don't want to say everything that happened during our conversation, but she just told me that I needed to come get him.
After only a couple of days, Wright says Bryson was picked up by his mother, his dad, and an adult male.
Hold on. I'm going to repeat that one more again, okay? Because I need you guys to hear that. So if I'm hearing that correctly, grandma called daughter, auntie, who's on the phone right here, and said, I need to come pick up Bryson because he's in bad shape. Because of the photo we've all seen, it's on the thumbnail. Of course, we're seeing it here in this video as well. It's very interesting nonetheless. Let's take a listen one more again.
Okay.
Wright says the day she went to pick Bryson up, there were 3 people in the car, his mom and dad, and a man she didn't know.
So somebody came up and let auntie know, please go and come and pick him up. Okay? Please come and pick him up. Interesting. And that's when she saw the 3 people, mom and dad, and the random person in the car.
But only Bryson drove the nearly 2 hours back to her Cleveland home with her.
She just told me that I needed to pick him up. And because this is an ongoing case, I don't want to say everything that happened during our conversation, but she just told me that I needed to come get him.
After only a couple days, Wright says Bryson was picked up by his mother, his dad, and an adult male, but not before she called police. Wright says 3 or 4 minutes after they left, an officer pulled them over, but Bryson wasn't in the car.
Okay. Weird, right? Wasn't in the car. Grandmama sees him in bad shape. From what I understand, it sounds like his aunt was called to come and pick him up. She pulls up to the house, sees these three people, parents, okay, that includes the mom and dad and random face person that she's never seen before. And then they leave. Kid disappears 4 minutes later. Someone just said, yeah, WT fuzz, or what the fuzz, okay? Timeline is so tight. Absolutely. But I've seen things, we've all covered things that have happened in shorter time, right? And Maui girl, thank you. Okay. Yeah, this is very scary. Okay. And I hope he is alive and well too. I absolutely agree with that. All right. And real quick, Kimberly, thank you so much in Japan. Thank you so much for gifting one membership. Excuse me, for gifting one membership. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the support, guys. Okay. But yeah, it's very weird, guys. Let's continue on. Very weird.
So what could have happened to Bryson within that 3 to 4 minutes that you think?
Sir, the only things that the police officers told me is that they probably put him into another vehicle, and that car drove off.
As of Friday afternoon, Indiana State Police say both Kristin and Daniel are no longer cooperating with investigators. Friday morning, State Police say the Muirs backed out of a meeting with police that they were supposed to bring Bryson to.
Bryson is, I believe, somewhere else, and they just don't want to bring him back. Maybe they don't want the police to see his face. I think it's been almost 2 weeks now, but I'm sure that those injuries are still there.
I called and texted numbers believed to belong to Daniel and Kristin, but never got a response back. Reporting.
Okay. So please, somebody, explain to me. If it doesn't matter whether or not this young man is missing, wouldn't you do everything you can to make sure you have complete transparency with law enforcement that are trying to reach out to you to see if your son is with you or not? Whether or not your son is missing, wouldn't you stop at nothing to either inform law enforcement, yes, he is missing, we haven't seen him, or at least go, no, he's right here, we got him. Here's a FaceTime with him. Hi. We'll show up to the police department and show you that he's alive and well. Or do you think that maybe they're hiding him out until his bruises heal, and then suddenly, when he's healed, he'll be out here? Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. We found him. No bruises, nothing on him anymore. So that they don't have to have any worries about CPS or any claims about child B, okay? Or child A or DV of any kind. I mean, I know that sounds like a little bit of a far-fetched idea, but isn't it a little bit odd that this young man just disappears? You also got to remember, too, he is one of the leaders of this religious organization. I'm talking about Daniel, not Bryson. You don't think that they're like, whoa, no, we need our leader. We need to cover these tracks as much as we can so that he doesn't get thrown in jail or he doesn't see time or anything of that sort, catches charges, anything, tarnishes his name, his legacy, his brand, all the stuff that he's putting out here on the internet and so on. Think about it for a second, guys. Think about that for a second. Grandmama sees him like this young boy like this, right? In bad shape. Says, I'm calling 911, calls the auntie or her daughter, Bryson's aunt, says, come get come get him, please. He's in bad shape. He needs to be somewhere safe. They pull up. There's another person in the car, some unnamed person. They take him. I'm still wondering what that interaction was like in front of grandmama's house or even inside grandmama's house. But they take him still. They end up taking Bryson. They get in the car. 50 pulls them over 4 minutes later, and this kid is gone. So in my mind, I'm going, okay, he's got a brand. He's got a specific look, right? He is the leader, one of the leaders of this organization, this religious organization. Could he be hiding out this young boy, this young man, Bryson, to save so that there's no attention on his organization or him as a leader? It's something to think about. Because to me, it seems a bit weird. Why would they hide this kid? Or why would they get rid of him? Why would they make him vanish like this so quickly? And then also on top of it, why aren't law enforcement locking them up right now? What is the delay? Why are they dragging their feet? Think about that. What's going on and why are they taking so damn long? For them to just go, yeah, they were the last people to see him alive were these two, and they're not even cooperating. Pull up, throw on the lights, blare the siren, whoop, whoop. You know what I mean? Pull up, shackle them, throw them into prison or into jail until they start squawking or start interrogating the hell out of them so we find out what the heck's going on here. But for some odd reason, that's not happening. You got a young man, Bryson, 14 years old, 6'2", 185 pounds, last seen with a black eye, an orange Under Armour shirt and jeans out here in these wilderness streets. And yet you got parents who are not willing to follow the bouncing ball. This is so paint by numbers. This pieces of information, it should be so easy for us to go, okay, if they're not cooperating, that's a dead giveaway. Let's be done with it. Let's keep it real. Lock them mother lovers up because they most definitely did something to this kid. And they know exactly where this kid is. So shut up and lock them up. Again, if you are in the Logansport area, or even in the Cleveland, Ohio area, please keep your head up. He's a tall, skinny, obviously beautiful young man. He's 14 years old. He is 6'2", so he's very tall, okay, for his age. He's 185 pounds. And I'm sure that bruise on his eye has healed a little bit over the past, 12 plus days now. But nonetheless, it's 14 days, I think now. But nonetheless, he is still nowhere to be found. Again, this makes me think of, and this reminds me of the Cody Bisbee case. I don't know if you guys remember about that, but let me just bring that up really quick. Which is also an extremely sad situation as well. Let's not forget, we had a young boy. He was 4 years old. Beautiful 4-year-old boy by the name of Cody Bisbee. And his dad is in prison right now because of not really doing anything at all, to be really honest. In fact, if I remember correctly, sorry, I'm just trying to pull up a photo of the father and Cody. But Cody went missing, 4 years old. The dad claims that Cody just walked out the house, front door of the house, and just disappeared. Of course, obviously things have changed over time while he's been in jail. Of course, he is now looking at some serious time behind bars. But an interesting situation where it was a young boy. They claimed, he said, I don't know where he went. He just disappeared. But it was also known that, if I'm correct, his name is Cody Bisbee. He had a tendency of leaving his kids at home for several hours at a time. All these kids were 1, 2, 4. If I'm correct, I think it was Cody that was the oldest. He would just leave these kids behind to do whatever he was doing, to go to work, to do whatever he was doing, go on dates, etc., just be out. These kids would literally be in a playpen by themselves. These are all things that we learned about later, right, in this investigation and in this case. But what's interesting is Cody is still nowhere to be found. No one knows where Cody is. Kind of like a Harmony Montgomery type situation. Now you got this type of situation kind of repeating itself, but this time with a 14-year-old young man. 6'2", 185 pounds. And now they're saying they don't know where he is either. And what's making it even worse is that you have two parents that are not willing to cooperate with law enforcement. What tells you? What does that say to you? That speaks volumes to me, guys. And like I said, I do not understand why they are not locking those two up, or at least bringing them in to interrogate them. They are saying that these two are prime suspects. So then bring them mother lovers in and interrogate them asses. That's how I see it. Regardless if this is them trying to have him lay low so he can heal, so that the dad, Pastor Daniel Muir, doesn't get in trouble, or if this kid ran off, or even if this kid was forced to disappear, it still does not justify how the family, how those two parents have been reacting and how they've been out here in their communications and their lack of communication with law enforcement. I hope to God they speak up soon, because I'm telling you right now, hey, the truth's going to come out at some point. Either this kid, hopefully this young man emerges, okay, fine, and I hope he does, and this is just one big, wild misunderstanding, or these parents did something really bad to this kid. And that doesn't mean just the unaliving part. They could have him locked away just for some random reason, because they believe he deserves the punishment or whatever. No matter what, these parents need to be looked at, and justice needs to be brought upon them hard. And I really hope it happens very, very soon. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so, so very much. And please, guys, again, if you could do me that solid, please spread the word. Let people know about this particular case, okay? This young man needs to be found. It's so wild to me that it's just so wild how all of that moves. All the movement with the parents, and they're not cooperating. They were, but then they were they were in the start of it. Then they aren't doing it anymore. Law enforcement was asking for at least proof of life from the family. They're not even willing to go and bring the kid to the police department to show that he's alive and well, that's a huge red flag. So what is holding them back? Why is law enforcement slowing their role when it comes to bringing these two in to find out what actually happened to this young man? It's wild. Blah. It just drives me crazy. But like I said, we're going to be talking a lot more. We got a lot of stuff going on today. And so be on the lookout for some other updates and other conversations. I'll most likely be on tonight in a conversation with y'all. But still, like I said, we need to bring justice. We need to bring awareness for this young man and the family members that actually care for his well-being. Okay? Let's do that. Hashtag his name as much as you can. Let's bring some awareness to this, and let's hopefully bring him home alive and safe. So please, guys, if you can do me a favor, hit that like button down below, please and thank you. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're looking, by the way, to get a kind of like a summarized breakdown of this case, please go over to my secondary channel, Pascal Show Clips. I will be having a breakdown of this in a much tighter form later on today. So please go over to that YouTube channel. We're going to be doing more summaries and breakdowns over on the secondary channel for those of y'all who don't want to sit through an hour and a half or 2 hour long show. So please go over there and subscribe, show some love. That'd be greatly appreciated. Of course, hit that like button down underneath this video. Hit that reaction button as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you're watching on these other platforms, X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Okay, hit those follow buttons over there. That'd be greatly appreciated. Do not forget, okay, to hit that subscribe button, please and thank you. Hit that subscribe. All right, and go over to my secondary channel, the Pascal Show Clips, and crush that subscribe button over there. Okay. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. We got some updates. Like I said, a few updates that you're going to be hearing about very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. But I appreciate you guys for being here, being a part of the conversation. It really does mean a lot. And I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Talk to you guys soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.